Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. There is an enemy that's been in our country, an enemy within. It's been here, and it's been here for a long time. And it is potentially the most dangerous enemy we've ever faced. And it just seems like it might be showing itself and raising its head right now, and that's what I want to talk about today. Before we get to that, a couple of things. If you're new to us, welcome. It's great to have you. Make sure that you're subscribed. Give it a thumbs up if you like. Share this video. Share all of our videos. It helps the channel, and that's our purpose, to get the word out to more and more people. So don't ever be shy about sharing any of my stuff. It's just great. A major announcement for all the stonemonters out there. If you don't know what stonemonters are, they're the people who have read my books or intend to or want to, any of the Stonemont series, and it's also the people who are with us on Patreon, and it's people who are on the Stonemont level. I had something very special I've been waiting to get out there. You may have noticed that I haven't been promoting the mugs and the t-shirts recently for probably over a month, something like that. The reason is because we had some equipment issues. Our equipment was not putting out the quality that we wanted, and so I stopped promoting that stuff. We were still able to satisfy some orders, but because of the degradation of the equipment, it was taking a lot longer to do it. More in the process. I won't go into that, but I bit the bullet and I brought in top of the line equipment. We have new equipment now, so now we're able to do it. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, well, I'll save that for another time. Anyway, there is something that I was hoping to get out to you all before Christmas. I was hoping to get it out to you in November. Because of the equipment issues, I wasn't able to, and now I'm able to. Although the timing isn't exactly right, and it's my new favorite mug. And I was hoping to get these out to you all. I've got to see if I'm holding this right. For Christmas, a Merry Stonemont Christmas mug. They just came out beautifully. It of course has it on both sides, and the verse that's on there is from Isaiah 9:6. It says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." That's Isaiah 9:6. And I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to get these out for you all for Christmas, but they just turned out beautifully. If anybody wants one of these, still, and it says right, you can see that the date is 2023. I intend to put one out every year, even though you didn't get it for Christmas this year. If you'd like one of these, within a day or so, they will be up on the website, stonemont.us, and you can order them there. And now we've got first-class equipment. We'll be able to get that. We'll be able to start cranking stuff out more now. If you're wondering why that affected us, it's because I do everything in-house. If I'm going to put out a t-shirt, we do the designing here, we do the printing, we bring in the t-shirt blanks, we do the designing, we do all the printing, because I believe in being my own supplier. And by doing that, I build the business, I create jobs, I have a situation where other people can learn skills, and then as they build the business, they grow within that business. This is the way I've always done all of my businesses, all my life. And it works well. I don't have you order from some place that's going to get those t-shirts from China. Okay, so there you have it. As you can see, I'm drinking out of my own. Okay, a couple of news items came out, and yesterday, well, or the day before, doesn't matter. They come out recently, and it was I put this up as the subject for our chat over on the Patreon channel this morning. I've already gotten a lot of very interesting responses to it. Did you see that Well, let me start with the Chicago situation here, because it contains some real idiocies. Palestinian truckers wave flags in 4-hour Chicago caravan. Did you all hear or read about that? Okay, a cadre of Palestinian American truckers drove through the Chicago suburbs on Christmas, waving. Did I tell you that something was that they like the dates, they like our holidays, they were going to do something? Well, it wasn't an attack or anything, but here it was, waving the famous green, red, black, and white flags while honking in solidarity with the people of Gaza. That brings something else out. You've seen the change in the flag of Minnesota, and they say they showed how it is very closely resembles the flag of Somalia. That's because their Somalian population in Minnesota is just exploding. I saw it myself a couple of years ago. I write about it in my books. In the latest one that's coming out, I write a lot about that. But it also, what I haven't heard anybody else say, it also closely resembles in design the Palestinian flag. Okay, keep that in mind, guys. So it says here, hundreds of local Palestinian Americans rallied in the southwest suburbs Monday in a truck caravan, many blaring their horns and flying Palestinian flags. The rally began about 1 p.m. Chicago Ridge Mall. 150 semi-trucks, tow trucks, cars, and other vehicles gathered before embarking on a 4-hour crawl through the southwest suburbs, honking their horns. So slowing down traffic, impeding all sorts of things, raising a ruckus, right, making themselves known. Reem Odeh, the daughter of Palestinian immigrants and a longtime immigration attorney, called the protest symbolic for being on Christmas Day. I tell you, it was very symbolic that it was done on Christmas Day to speak up against the atrocities against innocent people, she said. Yeah, well, you mean like by the ruling authority that was democratically selected in Gaza? Hamas? Okay. Almost every single one of us has relatives. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to read you a couple of things here that are just so outlandishly stupid. It points out. Okay, here's that. Who's that? That Sink Uyghur, whatever his thinking name is. He was with some show. I never watched it. It made me sick watching it. What was it? Young Turks. I think that's it. So he says, since Jesus is from Bethlehem, he's technically a Palestinian. There has never been a country called Palestine. It's an area. Okay, I'm not even going to get into that. Remember that the next time you hear a death toll from the Palestinian territories. If Jesus returns to the place of his birth, could he survive the night? Or would he be just another Palestinian casualty? That shows you how much the libs totally misunderstand Jesus. Doesn't it? Here's what Ocasio-Cortez says. Remember, these people are at the phalanx of those who support the Palestinian move, the anti-American. Let me put it that way. Okay, so she says, speaking of Jesus, he was part of a targeted population being indiscriminately killed to protect an unjust leader's power, she wrote. Thousands of years later, right-wing forces are violently occupying Bethlehem as similar stories unfold for today's Palestinians. Okay, I want to let you know there are many Palestinians who are great folks. Great folks. Okay, we're not talking about individuals here. So that's not the issue. And there are always room for complaints on both sides. Okay? Well, I'm not going to get into that. What I want to talk about is how it affects our country. The other thing came out, this is also from Breitbart. I'll put both of these up when I post this on the Patreon channel. I'll put the links to both of these. And it's about pro-Palestinian protesters block Los Angeles International Airport on Wednesday. I guess that was yesterday. So you see, they're starting to make their moves around here. Now, This is not new, although this is new to many people. Many people don't think that this is a recent development. I can't tell you how I know, but as far back as the very early 2000s, meaning, well, shortly after 9/11, I knew of the growing presence of hostile, how should I say this? I know I know that, I may be censored on this. That's why I'm saying it. I knew of the growing presence from this particular group in our country, centered around universities. We had an explosion of Islamic centers start all across the United States, not immediately after 9/11, of course, but pretty soon, as our leaders and as the liberals in our country responded to 9/11, not by being, angry at those who did it, not by actually excusing those who did it, not by being angry, for the most part, at our government that was using that. And I won't get into, who was really, what really happened. Not going to do that. For using that to increase the surveillance and police state here in our country. But they were mad at people who had negative feeling about Muslims. Okay. Islamists. Different things. Different. Those are different. Okay. One is a belief system. You can call it a religion if you want to. Be my guest. It's not. But it is a belief system. It is a political system wrapped in religious clothes. Okay. No, they were mad at people who, and stood up against people who would have any negative feelings about those who attacked us. Okay. But so as they had more impact through the media and our universities and all that, Islamic centers started to explode around the country. There's a huge one right across the state line in Kansas City, Missouri, that is very involved with some of the very negative activities in the Middle East. I can't get into this in detail. There's a huge one not 3 miles from me. And people will say, that's because you live in the suburbs. Well, if you live in the country, it's three miles from you. Okay? These things are exploding. We've seen whole cities up in, is it Michigan, that now have a 100% Muslim city council. We've seen the Muslim influence pretty much take over Minnesota and Michigan and some other places. We know that our own government, which is against its own people, has opened up the border and allowed so many of these across our southern border. They're coming from the north too. And we know that they are implanted all through our country. Now, what these demonstrations show, and you have to take this very seriously, is that their time of working below the radar is now over. Now they're poking their head up. And these demonstrations are a way for them to see what the response is going to be. And as there is no response, which there won't be any response to our government. The only response our government will have is to say that they need to, that the greatest danger, of course, is white supremacist hate groups, and they're the biggest danger to our country. So, and anybody who speaks out against any violence coming at us from an Islamic direction will be called Islamophobic and hate spreaders, I'll probably get, that on this. But this isn't about a whole group of people. It's about an ideology that's represented within these groups. And the danger is this, that as these demonstrations increase and there is no pushback at all, they will increase at a speed that I think will shock you. We've seen it happen in Europe. By the time the people of a country finally have had enough and start to respond, their country has been destroyed. Our country's already damn near been destroyed by our own people. Not just, the government, but the liberal people who put them in power. And the fact that we have a population now, a voting population, which is so ignorant, they don't know the difference between right, wrong, boys, girls, whatever. They have no understanding. They vote emotionally. They live their lives emotionally. And sadly, we're on the same boat with them. And as they sink this ship, we're going down with them. And of course, the thing for us to do is to jump in a lifeboat and get away from that ship before it sucks us under. But then where are we, right? I mean, we'll talk about that another time. Because I think that's very interesting. What happens next? Well, what's happening now is what we need to think about. That as these protests grow, as this Middle Eastern war grows, and you see, it's expanding. We're getting in it. We're now in conflict with the Russians directly. The Houthis are shooting missiles and rockets at us, and we're shooting them down. Every time I hear that, I think of the blowfish, right? Houthi and the blowfish. So we're involved, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to get worse. It's going to suck us all into it. The extent to which it does, we don't even know yet. But I think it might be surprising. I think one day we will wake up. Well, some people, we already know. I know. We're anticipating the mess this is going to be. Other people are going to wake up and go, What happened? What happened? How did we get in this mess? Because they weren't paying attention. So it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And while it's getting worse and worse, this enemy within is going to be increasing its influence. See, if they can gain control over our country, if they can gain control over our governments, beginning with city councils, beginning with state governments, beginning with just brainwashing so many of our own citizens to vote certain ways, they don't have to resort to violence. And see, this is where they understand something that so many Americans don't, and particularly preppers. It makes me sick every time I hear somebody who come on, and I know this is going to tick somebody off. I don't care. If it ticks you off, maybe it's time you looked in the mirror and started to take a good hard look on how you think about things. The ones that say, politics doesn't matter. Politics, this and that. I'm not a part of it because it's all cricket. It's all dirty. I can't. They are winning and will win as a result of politics because they worked it and you didn't. You out there with your black t-shirt saying you're going to stand up against something. Hell, you won't even go vote. You won't even get involved in politics in your own town. Don't try to make me or anybody else believe that you'll stand up someday when you won't stand up now. Brush the Dorito dust off your lap and go get another Coke. The country's going down not because we've had these enemies get inside. It's going down because of the weakness of our government and too many of our people who allowed it, who didn't speak out. Who didn't speak out when they saw the little stuff. You know, people go, they like this saying, you know, I learned don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. No, it's not. There is no small stuff. Everything big is made of a whole bunch of littles. And you got to stop it when it's small. You got to stop it when it starts. And if you don't, and here's the problem. I know years, 20, 30 years ago. Hang on half a second. Oh, I'm sorry about the interruption. A neighbor of mine came by and needed to talk to me about something. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. That this poses a big danger. And at this point, if they are successful with their protests will continue growing in size. If they are not successful with their protests, meaning that the protests are held down, that law enforcement deals with them, which I don't think that they will. I don't know. There were some arrests made in this, in these situations. So we will see. But that will bring out violence. Okay. Now, remember, you don't remember, but I come from the time of Yasser Arafat and the PLO and Black September. This is nothing new. This is new only in that it shows that the enemy that planted itself here grew here in our country, and possibly in Canada, Australia. I don't know. This certainly has in Europe. I mean, gosh, you go back in Europe, back to the Baader Meinhof and the PLO and Munich, that it has grown here, and it has gotten to the point now where it feels it's strong enough, and the American people, or America, is weak enough that it will raise its hand and start demanding its own way. That is a major, major problem. Make sure that you can defend yourself every day. Make sure that you are providing for the safety and security of your family. You ought to get involved in this politically, but I know that many people in the preparedness world won't. They think that if they can just avoid it, it'll pass them by. It won't. It won't. You know, it's like the lion. You know, you can try to hide, but the lion, he may eat the people who are slower than you, but after his nap, he's going to wake up, he's going to be hungry again, and he's going to be sniffing around for the ones who hid. This is something to be taken seriously. I suggest you do. I think most of you understand that. We had great, I'm looking forward, after I get off here, I'm going to go back and check the comments on the Patreon chat today. If you're not with us on Patreon, I invite you to be. You get a lot out of it. The link is down below. We cover so much over there that we don't do here. And you know, my web guy, my son, is developing a new community page that's going to be on our website. I'll let you know when that's coming up. If you want to know how to prepare for all this stuff, our sponsor is my books, the Stonemont series. That's where the Stonemont Christmas comes from, for those of you who didn't know. The reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune, the complete guide in 6 novels to preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. And we could be looking at the complete collapse of our country, and the lessons in here. You'll love the story, but you'll also learn a lot. They're available on Amazon, the link is below, or directly from me at our website, stonemont.us. If you order from Amazon, you get them quick. If you order them from me, you'll get them signed. Not so quick, but you'll get them signed. So remember that, and remember, for those of you who are interested in having, I'll hold this up, do you see that? One of these, I'm sorry they're late, but if you'd like to have them, we'll get them up on the website later today or tomorrow, and so that you can have one of the very first years. And I love designing these. and I love drinking out of them. And I love the fact that so many of you also love our mugs. So those will be out there. Remember what I talked about. Take it seriously. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparing well means understanding, staying up with what's going on in the world and understanding its possible consequences and ramifications, and then planning what you're going to do to respond, to protect, whatever you think you should. Okay. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.